28 now, and for most of my life, I was the invisible member of my family. Not the black sheep exactly, because that implies some form of notice, some kind of notoriety. No, I was just skipped over, forgotten, like the extra piece in a puzzle set that no one quite knows what to do with. I wasn't the rebel, I wasn't the golden child, I was the placeholder. Growing up, I learned early that in my family, love was transactional. Affection had a currency, praise, smiles, public niceties, and I never had enough to afford it. My mom had a sharp tongue and an even sharper memory for every single mistake I made, while somehow forgetting every good thing I ever did. Every award I brought home, ignored. Every late-night conversation when she was down, forgotten. Every birthday card I scrimped to buy with my part-time job, tossed like junk mail. I have a sister, Ava, 2 years younger, prettier, more charming, and blessed with a smile that could light up a funeral. She figured out early that being perfect was the key to getting everything she wanted. I, on the other hand, questioned things. I didn't fake enthusiasm. I was quiet, blunt, too real for the performances my family excelled at. And in a household where smiles were currency and truth was a nuisance, I may as well have been speaking a different language. Still, I tried. God, did I try. I showed up to family events I wasn't invited to. I brought homemade pies, thoughtful gifts, remembered everyone's birthday even when they didn't remember mine. I smiled and bit my tongue through jokes at my expense and pretended not to notice when they'd get up for a group photo and accidentally leave me out. I kept telling myself that if I just did everything right, they'd see me. They'd finally remember I was part of this family too. But that illusion crumbled in my mid-20s. By the time I turned 25, it hit me like a truck. I wasn't part of the family because I'd earned it. I was part of the family when it was convenient, when they needed something, a ride, a favor, a scapegoat, never when it mattered. Last Thanksgiving, I almost didn't go. I debated it for days. The only person who made me reconsider was my cousin Maya. She's 2 years younger than me, but emotionally, she's a decade older than most of the family combined. She always made me feel like I mattered. Late-night texts, deep conversations, birthday calls no one else remembered. The day before Thanksgiving, she messaged me, "You better show up. I saved you a seat." That message, it hit different. I didn't want to go, but for her, I figured it was worth one more try. I drove the usual 40 minutes to my uncle's house. Classic suburbia, obnoxious inflatable turkey in the yard, butter and cinnamon and tension in the air. I parked 3 houses down. His driveway was always full when I arrived, even if I was on time. I walked up with a bottle of red no one would touch and saw them through the screen door, laughing, cheerful, picture-perfect dysfunction. I reached for the handle, already bracing for the cold reception, but what I got was deliberate. As I touched the door, it opened just a crack. My Uncle Ron stood there like a bouncer. "You're not family anymore, Oliver," he said. "You need to leave." I actually laughed. I thought it was a joke, but then I saw over his shoulder my mother pouring wine, Ava clinking glasses with her boyfriend, who, by the way, had taken my seat at the table, the one with the name card I'd brought years ago and that Maya used to keep saved for me. My mother just raised her glass and smirked. "You showing up just causes tension," Uncle Ron said. I blinked. "I haven't even walked in." He gave a condescending shrug. "Let's not make this worse than it has to be. Just go home." I locked eyes with my mom. She didn't flinch, didn't say a word, just sipped her wine like she was watching a soap opera. I considered making a scene, raising my voice, but instead, I nodded. I stepped back, and I left. I walked down the steps, wine bottle still in hand, sat in my car and drove 2 blocks before I pulled over. My hands were trembling, not with anger, but with something deeper. Sadness, clarity, finality. They had made it clear. I was never going to be family. Not really. But what they didn't know, what none of them realized, was that I had come prepared. For months, Maya and I had talked about how fake everything was, how we were both tired of playing roles. "All it takes is one spark," she had said. So I lit the match. I pulled up the message on my phone, the one I'd been crafting for weeks. No drama, no long-winded rant, just evidence, recordings, screenshots, voice memos, a 5-minute compilation of the greatest hits of their hypocrisy. My mom telling Ava to take credit for my work. Uncle Ron mocking me for only showing up when I needed something, despite never having asked for a thing. Even an audio recording of my birthday, when they talked about how glad they were to get a break from me, while I was sitting 2 chairs away, completely ignored. I hit send. 7 people got it. Maya, my cousin Daniel, Aunt Laura, my mom's sister, 2 longtime family friends, and Daniel's fiancé. I sat in my car, watching the house in the rearview mirror, and then the front door opened. Maya came out first, face red, furious, then Daniel, then his girlfriend, then Aunt Laura's best friend, the one who always brought dessert and who had hugged me tighter than my own mom ever did. One by one, they walked out. I couldn't hear hear what was being said inside, but I could imagine, and I didn't need the words. The next few minutes changed everything. Maya called. She was angry, breathless. "Oliver, what the hell did you just do?" she said. "You read it." "Of course I read it. So did everyone else." Uncle Ron turned purple. "Your mom tried to play dumb. Ava looked like she was on another planet." She paused. "Why didn't you tell me you were recording them?" "Because I didn't want to put her in the middle." That's what I told her. But the truth? I'd been gaslit for so long I needed receipts, proof, protection. "I'm glad you did it," she said. And with that, the silence cracked. A few minutes later, Aunt Laura called me too. "Oliver," she said, out of breath. "Where are you?" I hesitated, then told her. She showed up 5 minutes later, slid into my passenger seat, eyes wide with a mix of horror and regret. "I listened to all of it, twice," she said. "I didn't know it was that bad." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Her face said more than words. "I mean, I knew they could be cruel, but I didn't realize how calculated it all was." I finally looked at her. "You really didn't know?" She shook her head slowly. "I saw pieces, but your mom always said you were dramatic, that you twisted things." "She didn't lie," I said. "She edited." Aunt Laura stared straight ahead for a moment. "This is going to tear the family apart." "Then maybe it was already broken," I replied. That night, I went home to a storm of messages, some angry, some apologetic, many confused. But the loudest response? Silence. From my mom, from Ava, from Uncle Ron. Nothing. Not until the next morning, when the Facebook performance began. My mom, always the master manipulator, posted a long status about betrayal and airing private family issues for attention. She didn't say my name, but the comments made it obvious who she meant. People chimed in with sympathy, blaming me, calling me ungrateful or disrespectful. But then something incredible happened. Maya commented. So did Daniel. Then Aunt Laura. Then others. One by one, they called out the hypocrisy, shared their own stories of being lied to or shut out. The comment section turned into a battleground, and this time, I wasn't standing alone. Some relatives deleted their comments, some blocked me, but I didn't care, because for the first time, people were seeing the truth, not just hearing my voice, but actually listening. Then I got a message from Ava's boyfriend, the guy who'd sat in my seat. "I didn't know they were like that," he wrote. "If I'd known what I was taking part in, I wouldn't have come." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The message had already been sent. I wasn't the ghost anymore. I wasn't just the scapegoat. I was finally the author of my own story, and it wasn't over. That Sunday, there was a knock at my door. I live above a bakery that smells like cinnamon rolls every morning. It's peaceful, quiet, mine. I wasn't expecting anyone. So when I opened the door and saw my dad, who I hadn't spoken to in a year, I froze. He looked older, sadder, worn down. That familiar leather jacket he always wore looked tired, like him. "Hi," he said. I stepped aside. Not quite an invitation. He came in anyway. He looked around my apartment, at the books, the records, the framed photo of Maya and me from the Thanksgiving we ditched to get burgers. He sat on the edge of the couch. "I saw the video," he said. "Your aunt sent it to me." I didn't say anything. "Your mom says you twisted things," he muttered. I folded my arms. "Did I?" He didn't answer, just rubbed his face like he was trying to press out the guilt. "It was hard to listen to," he said eventually, "because I realized I let it happen for years." It was the first honest thing he'd said to me in a decade. "You remember when you were 13 and your mom threw out your art portfolio?" "Yeah," I said, "because I got a B in science. She told me you drew something disrespectful. I drew a cartoon of her yelling at me." He laughed, dry and bitter. I believed her, never asked to see it. "That's the pattern," I said. "She says something, you nod, Ava plays along, and I sit there wondering if I'm crazy or just not worth the truth." He nodded. "I can't fix what happened," he said finally, "but I see it now. I wish I'd stepped in." "I appreciate that," I said honestly, "but I don't know what you want from me." "I don't know either," he replied. "I just wanted to see how you're doing." "I'm doing better," I said. He nodded again, slowly. "They're planning damage control. They think if they wait it out, people will forget." "Will they?" He shrugged. "Some already have, but some are angry, especially about the money." "Ah, yes, the money. The part no one saw coming." See, what they didn't know, what no one knew, was how much I had been quietly giving to keep things from falling apart. Rent, car repairs, small loans. Even Ava, once, when she said she needed to escape an abusive boyfriend, who, by the way, is the same guy she brought to Thanksgiving. 3 months before, I stopped it all. I didn't make a scene. I just redirected that support to Maya, to friends, to people who actually cared. And in the video I sent, I ended it with a message. "This is why I stopped paying for your lives." Apparently, that part hurt more than anything. "They say you're punishing them," my dad said. "No," I replied. "They punished themselves. I just stopped rewarding it." He didn't argue. After a while, he stood. "I should go, but if there's ever a way back for us, I hope you'll let me take it." And then he left. No tears, no anger, just a quiet understanding that this, finally, was my life. life, my terms, and I hadn't even started yet. By December, the silence from my family was thunderous. The usual family group chat, which used to light up with passive-aggressive potluck assignments and recycled jokes from Aunt Margie, was now a graveyard. The last message was Maya's, "Let me know when you all are ready to take some accountability." No one responded. No thumbs up, no snide comment, nothing. Just digital tumbleweeds. I wasn't invited to Christmas. No surprise there. But this time, it didn't sting. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't forcing myself to go where I wasn't wanted. I didn't have to pretend to be happy while everyone gushed about Ava's latest accomplishment and acted like I didn't exist. I didn't have to endure another dinner with Uncle Ron tossing around jokes about me being overly sensitive. I didn't have to sit through my mother's carefully curated smugness. I was free, but I wasn't done. See, Thanksgiving was just the beginning. They thought if they ignored it long enough, the drama would die down and they could spin their version of the story. What they didn't expect was for me to follow through, so I did. First, I called in the money. That $3,000 loan to Ava, the one she claimed was to escape her toxic boyfriend, well, he was still very much around, laughing in my seat at Thanksgiving, so I sent a formal letter through a lawyer, informing her that given the deception, I now considered it a recoverable debt. She had 60 days to repay. No interest, no threats, just legal formality. Then I stopped the recurring bank transfer that paid a chunk of Uncle Ron's property tax. He'd never asked me directly, too proud for that, but had dropped enough hints over the years. Every November, like clockwork, I'd covered the bill. Not this year. And my mother, the car she drove, I paid for it. Every lease payment, for 5 years. She never thanked me, never acknowledged it. She acted like it was my duty as her son. What she didn't realize was that the lease was still in my name. On December 10th, I repossessed the car. That triggered the fireworks. Ava called first, screaming. Uncle Ron tried to reason with me, like I was the child and he was the adult in charge. Then my mother called. No shouting, just venom in her voice. "So this is who you really are?" "No," I said calmly. "This is who you made me become." Then I hung up. Christmas Eve was nothing like theirs. I spent it with Maya and a few of our closest friends. We cooked together, exchanged small, thoughtful gifts, drank wine, and played board games under the soft glow of candles and fairy lights. No performances, no walking on eggshells. It was the first holiday in years where I didn't feel like I was suffocating. Around midnight, Maya pulled a blanket over our legs and leaned her head on my shoulder. "They called me," she said. "Let me guess. Damage control?" She nodded. "Your mom says I'm choosing sides, that I'm tearing the family apart." "You are," I said. "The part that needed to be torn down." She smiled sadly. She also said she was going to set the record straight. I didn't even sigh. I expected it. Sure enough, the next morning, there it was. Another Facebook monologue. Another polished piece of fiction. She talked about how families go through rough patches, how private pain had been manipulated into public spectacle, and how some people are easily swayed by false narratives. No names, no direct accusations, just enough ambiguity to rake in sympathy from her usual crowd. But I didn't comment. I didn't need to, because now the truth had legs of its own. Aunt Laura responded with a simple status. "Sometimes the only way to fix a broken family is to stop pretending it's not broken. Proud of you, Oliver." Daniel followed with a screenshot of a text from my mom, sent years ago. It was her trash-talking me, right after I paid for his college books. His caption? "We all saw it. We just didn't want to admit it." Then came a flood of messages, comments, private DMs, people from the fringes of my family, old friends, even one of Ava's old college roommates. I noticed things, but I didn't know how bad it was. I saw the favoritism. "Thank you for finally saying something." The lid had come off the pressure cooker. Everyone had their own story, and now they weren't afraid to tell it. A week after Christmas, I got a handwritten letter from my mom. Not an apology, a warning. She accused me of destroying the family's reputation, said I was making enemies I couldn't afford, and that there would be consequences for embarrassing people in public. I folded the letter and dropped it in the trash. I didn't need to fight her anymore. The truth was doing that for me. By the time New Year's Eve rolled around, my family had split into two clear factions. There were the loyalists, the ones who clung to the curated image my mother had spent years maintaining, the ones who dismissed the recordings, downplayed the evidence, and insisted it was all taken out of context. They saw me as the villain now, the traitor, the ungrateful one. And then there were the others, the ones who finally opened their eyes. They started organizing their own get-togethers, brunches, casual dinners, game nights, without the drama, without the performance. Maya hosted the first of them in January, and more than 20 people showed up. Uncle Ron wasn't one of them. them. Neither was Ava, and definitely not my mother. In a way, I had to grieve, not just the family I never truly had, but the version of myself that kept trying to earn their love. The part of me that used to hope, desperately, that if I just did the right things, they'd finally see me. That version? He's gone now. I buried him with the guilt, with the people-pleasing, with the need for validation that was never going to come. Now I'm living. I started writing again. I launched a small freelance business, something I hadn't had the energy or confidence to try before. Maya and I are closer than ever. We talk every day, not just about the past, but about the future, about healing, about building something better from the wreckage. Every so often, someone reaches out, someone who saw what happened and says, "I felt that too." Strangers, distant relatives, even a co-worker once who whispered, "Your story made me think about my own." And that, more than anything, made me realize the power of speaking up. If you're reading this, and you've got a family that twists your words, mocks your pain, only reaches out when they need something, listen to me. You are not alone. You don't have to keep showing up just because you share DNA. You don't have to sit quietly at a table that was never set for you. You don't have to keep bleeding for people who only notice you when they need a transfusion. You can walk away. You can reclaim your story. Sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is turn your back on the people who slam the door in your face and keep walking. Not to run, but to build something new, something real. I didn't lose a family. I shed one, and in the quiet that followed, I finally heard my own voice again, clear, unapologetic.